Shrek. Once upon a time, a lovely princess was locked away in a castle, guarded by a terrible fire-breathing dragon. She had a fearful enchantment upon her, which could only be broken by true love's first kiss. Many knights had tried to free her, but none had prevailed. So she waited in the tallest tower of the dragon's keep for her one true love. Yeah, like that's ever gonna happen, chuckled Shrek as he tore the page from the old storybook with his huge green hand. He was out of toilet paper. This would do just fine. Shrek was an ogre, about 7 feet tall and solid. His skin was the color of pea-green soup. His ears were like trumpets on stalks, and his teeth could crush large rocks. He was perfectly content with his looks. If the townspeople thought he was a fearsome monster and left him alone, he was happy. Emerging from his outside toilet shack, Shrek paused to admire his home. It was a great crooked heap of mud and sticks, surrounded by large keep out signs. The perfect house for an ogre who liked living all by himself. At sunset that evening, an angry mob poured out of the pub in the nearby village. On the door was a sign that said, "Wanted, creatures for cash," with an image of an ogre. Torches were lit, pitchforks were raised, and the mob of villagers headed into the forest, straight towards Shrek's swamp. They made their way quietly through the woods, and then stopped, parting the reeds in front of them. They peered at Shrek's house. One villager stepped forward determinedly. "All right," he whispered, "let's get it." "Whoa, hang on," said another. "Do you have any idea what that thing will do to you?" "It'll grind your bones for bread," said a third. "Actually," a new voice said brightly, "that would be giants." The villagers spun round. Shrek was standing behind them. The torchlight made him look really scary. Ogres are much worse. He began advancing, his tone now terrifying. "They'll make a suit from your peeled skin, shave your liver, squeeze the jelly from your eyes." The villagers began to back away. One brave man leaped forward, waving his torch. "Back! Back, beast! Back!" he shouted. Shrek moistened his thumb and forefinger and gently snuffed out the torch. Then he gave a tremendous roar. The villagers closed their eyes and screamed long and loud. When they finally petered out, Shrek leaned down towards them. "Boo," he whispered. The villagers turned and ran away as fast as they could. Shrek chuckled to himself and headed back to his house. When would they ever learn? On the ground by his door, he found a wanted poster dropped by one of the villagers. "Cash for creatures," it said. That very day, the villagers had started lining up in front of a table, which had been set up at the edge of the forest. A captain sat behind it, doling out coins in exchange for captured creatures. A farmer had brought a gaggle of dwarves. The captain tossed him some gold coins, and the dwarves were led away in chains. "Next!" A second farmer shoved a witch in front of him, tied with a rope. 20 pieces of silver for the witch," said the captain, bored. "Next!" There were 2 villagers with elves, an old man with a wooden puppet boy, an old woman with a donkey, a boy with a fairy in a cage, and a peasant with 3 little pigs under his arm. The donkey nervously watched the witch and the dwarves being carted off in a wagon. He turned to the old woman. "Please, don't turn me in. I'll never be stubborn again. Give me another chance." "Shut up, donkey," she replied. "Next," said the captain. The old woman dragged the donkey up to the table. "What have you got?" "A talking donkey." The captain looked donkey up and down. 10 shillings if you can prove it." "Go ahead, little fella," the old woman urged. Donkey hesitated. Saying nothing seemed to be his best option. Well? The captain lifted an eyebrow.
He's just a little nervous.
She bent down.
Talk, you bone-headed dolt!
That's it, said the captain. Guards, get her out of my sight. The guards advanced on the old woman and dragged her off.
No!
She shrieked.
I swear he can talk! Let me go! Wait!
Struggling, the old woman kicked the fairy cage from the hand of the boy who was next in line. The cage landed on Donkey's head, exploding fairy dust all over him. He blinked in shock, then began to smile. Something amazing was happening to him. Hey! I can fly! Heads turned as Donkey fluttered into the air above the crowd. He can talk, noted the captain. That's right, fool, Donkey called down. Now I'm a flying, talking donkey. But the fairy dust was wearing off. Uh-oh, Donkey said, falling down hard right in front of the captain. Seize him, ordered the captain. But Donkey was already running for all he was worth. As the guards gave chase, Donkey hurtled through the woods, trees whizzing by on all sides. He looked over his shoulder. The soldiers were gaining, and wham! Donkey barreled straight into the back of Shrek and fell back on his own rear end. The wind knocked right out of him. Shrek had been hanging a new beware sign on a tree when Donkey ran into him. He looked down at Donkey. Donkey looked up at him, unsure. The guards screeched to a halt at the sight of Shrek, and Donkey darted behind the ogre. You there, said the captain nervously. Ogre! Yeah? But by the order of Lord Farquaad, I am placing you both under arrest and transporting you to a resettlement facility. Oh, really? You and what army? The captain looked behind him. His men had deserted him. Shrek smiled. The terrified captain gasped and ran off into the forest. Shrek shrugged and headed home. Donkey decided to follow his new hero. Finally, he summoned up his nerve and spoke. Listen, you were really something back there. Incredible! Shrek stopped and turned, annoyed. Are you talking to me? Then he turned on Donkey and roared, doing the ogre act that usually scared off unwanted visitors. But Donkey decided that his hero was just fooling around. Oh, wow! That was really scary. And if that doesn't work, your breath will certainly get the job done, because your breath stinks. Shrek was at a loss. This had never happened to him before. He tried to walk away, but Donkey just kept following along behind him, still talking. Man, you almost burned the hair off my nose, just like the time... Shrek spun round. Why are you following me? Take a look at me, little donkey. What am I? Donkey looked up at Shrek. Really tall? He guessed. No, I'm an ogre. Doesn't that bother you? Nope. Really? Shrek was surprised. Really, Donkey assured him. Shrek was suddenly disarmed. Oh. Man, I like you. What's your name? Asked Donkey. Shrek. Shrek. Well, I like that. I respect that. You're all right, Shrek. They came to the crest of a hill, which sloped down to the swamp where Shrek's house was, and started down the winding path towards it. There was a big, awkward silence. Donkey looked worried. At last, he decided to spit it out. Can I stay with you? Shrek was caught by surprise. What? This donkey couldn't possibly be serious. Can I stay with you, please? No. Please? Please! Donkey begged. Please, please! He climbed up in Shrek's face, hooves on his chest. Okay, yelled Shrek, defeated. But one night only. Oh, thank you! Shaking his head, Shrek opened his door, and Donkey charged into the house. Oh, this is gonna be fun! He trotted across the room, jumped up into Shrek's favorite armchair, and plopped down, looking quite comfortable. Ugh, muttered the ogre. Where do I sleep? Chirped Donkey. Shrek pointed to the door. Outside,